Doesn't he do that well? Only took one take to do that. Good evening, everybody, and thank you all for being here this evening in this this wonderful arena of Parklands here in the south end of the city. We're going to have a very enjoyable night. We've got some legends to meet. The CEO, Robert Elstone, is with us, and of course the gaffer's here as well. We've had some questions sent to the football club via social media, and there may be time to take some questions from the floor a little bit later on in the evening. But let's meet our first two guests straight away. Let's not hang around, and a good evening to everybody watching at home, by the way, or in work, wherever you are watching on Everton TV. Please welcome the Chief Executive Officer of Everton Football Club, Robert Elstone. And please welcome the boss, Roberto Martinez. You're all mad Evertonians, you don't need me to tell you. We don't need me to tell you that the gentleman on my right has brought so many highlights already to this football club since he arrived from Wigan Athletic. And I think if you look at your big screens now, we've got a few of them for you. Which is your favourite one?
Good evening. It's a hard question. I think you get every big memory, it gets bigger and bigger, and you develop in a really nice process. But if I had to pick one, it would be doing the double against Manchester United, because it represented a big landmark for us. And to achieve things in a phenomenal football club like ours is not easy to beat landmarks and to get 6 points in the same season. It went back to the times of Harry Catterick, so that was a big moment.
What about it wasn't on there, we need to update that, by the way, Jag's goal at Anfield. Can you sum up how you felt when you saw that one fly in?
Well, there's not many times that you get a centre-half scoring from open play. So that's a special moment itself. When it's in the last second of the game, is even more special. When it's in a perfect view in front of the Kop, with the neighbours, it doesn't get any better.
It certainly doesn't. Pick one of your best, Robert.
Well, it's interesting listening to Jags' goal. My son came home from playing football and he said, I scored a Jags. And so it's already got a life of its own, how he told me how he sliced it into the top corner on purpose, of course. So I think for me it was the first half performance at Arsenal away when for 45 minutes Arsenal just didn't have a kick, and after the game all Arsenal could talk about was how great we were, and that was special, and we'd gone there and gone toe to toe, and better than that we'd sort of outplayed them, and I thought that was fantastic. So there were so many highlights, and the way in which we're playing football is absolutely tremendous, but it was that game was just really special, I think.
I think a broader highlight, Roberto, was the way everybody involved with Everton Football Club has really embraced European football again. We're so glad to have it back.
Well, it feels so natural when we travel to Krasnodar. The first step that we put on Russian field is got a little Everton flag, and it says Russian toffees. And you're thinking, it's incredible even to travel 5 hours on a plane and feel welcome in that manner. And we enjoyed the performances against Lille and against Wolfsburg at Goodison. They've been special. I would never imagine that full houses under the floodlights and the type of performance that we had. We really embraced it. It looks like that we are meant to be on those nights. But I do feel that European football is exactly what we needed. And yes, it's going to stretch us a little bit in the domestic competitions, but I can tell you that the squad is growing all the time. We're getting a stronger mentality, and I can't wait to get the second half of the season, because I do feel that now we are ready to face whatever comes our way, and that's down to the games that we played in Europe mostly.
The opportunity is there, isn't it, for somebody to come out of the middle pack in the Premier League and have a right good run at it, because you take Chelsea out of the equation, it's much of a muchness, isn't it?
Well, it is, and that always happens after a World Cup. You always get that sort of a slow start. We know how good we can be on our day. I think we're building something special day to day, but for the future with the youngsters that we got in the club. But I'm looking at the table, and we are 4 points behind where we wanted to be, and it doesn't take much to look where we lost those points. But I think we're ready to get those points back and make sure that we perform in the manner that we've been doing, and making sure that the 10-month competition gives us the position that we deserve in the league, and that's the challenge that we have as a team.
I spoke to the chairman in his office this afternoon, Robert, and I said to him, it's a great time to be an Evertonian. And he said, son, it's always a great time to be an Evertonian. Which is typical Bill, and he's quite right. But at the moment, there is such just great positivity, isn't there?
There is, Darren. I think, I've been in the club now for 10 years, and it didn't take me long to realise there was something really special about the club, a real special culture inside the club, inside the dressing room, inside the training ground, and indeed amongst our fan base. There was always that special culture, but I think it's kicked on, it's moved on, it's better than it always has been, certainly in my time. And there's sort of built onto what was already there. There's optimism, there's positivity, there's belief, and that's fantastic. And I think, you as fans will sense that absolutely on the terraces. Let me tell you, we sense it big time inside the club. So there's this specialness that's always been there, but it's just gone to a new level, and that new level is around optimism, as I said. It's around belief. It's about being up for a challenge of taking this club right to the very top of English football, and that's a phenomenal position to be in. It's great for everybody associated with the club, not just fans, but also everybody who works inside the club.
I noticed some new images on the wall of the gymnasium at Finch Farm this afternoon as well. How important was it for you to embrace the history of Everton Football Club and not be intimidated by it?
No, I was so surprised that we had some players that they went really up to date of our history. We got incredible chapters that they affected world football everywhere, and that always really interests me. And making sure that that's what we are. We are custodians of Everton at this period, but we should be able to have that mentality of being able to, as long as we work with our standards as we do every day, we should be able to compete against anyone. And we need to be creative. We need to find a way. I know we haven't got the money that other clubs that they've been in the Champions League year after year, and that's what we have to aspire. But we've got that, what's in our DNA as a football club. Our history is vital, and now you're looking at the players. They all got a little bit of a common, going back to our great teams in the 80s, or a story from Howard Kendall, or a story from a good game in Europe, and that's what I wanted. I wanted the players to feel proud, to feel responsible of wearing our shirt, and I think now we got clear pictures of that every day that we're working in Finch Farm.
I think that's one of the things that Roberto just outlining there. What I think really has changed is, we can look at teams contending Champions League football, and some of them, Man City, Chelsea, you've probably got 5 times our wage bill. For every pound we spend, they're spending £5, and that, that's enormous. And I think sometimes you can be beaten before you go out on the pitch, but I think with Roberto, we've got somebody who sees that as a great opportunity and a great challenge, and I think that's one of the massive differences that I've noticed, and that I think extends all throughout the squad. I think that extends into the players that we've brought into the squad, a belief above all else that it's not just about money, and I think that's such a healthy attitude in today's world of football.
How tough is it at Finch Farm at times like now when there's an international break? You haven't got as many players to work with, you have to restructure everything.
You do, but obviously in football you never get perfection, so you need to get the best out of a bad situation. I think we worked this week really well with youngsters. We've been able to get some of the under-21s that they're showing great talent, and I do feel that there are 3 players that they will play part in the first team this season, and then just give them a little bit of individual programs. Some of the players, they needed a bit of a recovery time. Leon Osman really needed something specific, Sylvain Distan, and I think that's been very, very good from that point of view. And now we're getting ready. The next 6 weeks are going to be so important for our aims this season. 12 games in 6 weeks, and then we got the FA Cup, and we all focus and start working towards those games and not just looking at West Ham, which is a priority. But it's been able to give us a little bit of a broad approach to every player for the next 6 weeks now.
We had a few players involved when Ireland played Scotland, and there were some old-fashioned tackles flying in there. It was like a Sunday league game, wasn't it? Were you watching that through one eye?
I was, and I maybe keeping the other where Roy Keane was to see if he wanted to come out. But I was very proud as well. I went to the ground, and I was a Parkhead, and I could see Seamus Coleman, Aidan McGeady, that they were incredible ambassadors of our football club. And then you got Stephen Naismith, that has become such a reference of Scottish football at the moment. So it was very. I was trying to keep my emotions down and not celebrating any goals or any good action from our players, but it was a great experience.
The chairman was right today, wasn't he, Robert, when he said everybody treats it as an honour when an Everton player gets called up to play for his country?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely right. I think one of the highlights for me across the last but one season was Leon Osman's call-up, and I think every Evertonian shared that. Leon was playing phenomenally well, and when he got the England call-up, it was just a real special moment. We all shared in that delight, so international representation, is a real honour for our club and for our players, absolutely.
When you watch England, particularly in the first half, are you still as baffled as everybody in this room probably is that Gareth Barry is constantly overlooked?
Well, yes, and I said that many times. I think Gareth Barry is the best defensive midfielder, or the number 6, however you wanna call it in the league. Never mind in English football. I'm looking at teams that they invested massive amount of monies to bring the best foreign player that he can play in that position. Could be Fernando and Man City, Fernandinho, and you go through all the players that they play in those positions. Gareth Barry has been the most consistent footballer and been overlooked for England. I don't know the reason behind it. There must be a reason, but I think allows him at 33 to concentrate and being able to play every game for us. So I think in one side, I feel that he deserves that reward, and I don't understand why he's not getting it. But in the same manner, I think that's going to extend his career at the club level, and that's important. And I'm looking at Gareth, and not just what he does, it's just the influence that he has with players like James McCarthy, when you're looking around and he's looking after him, and John Stones, the way that they get just growing in influence, understanding the game, is a joy. It's a joy to have him, and he's someone that he fit in so much into our culture straight away. He's an Everton player.
How is he? How is Gareth?
He's a lot better. He's a lot better. I think it takes a lot for him to be carried out on a stretcher. We were very fortunate. I knew that it was something seriously wrong. We thought the leg went numb straight away when he had that collision, and I thought it was a broken bone. As it is, he's an incredible professional. He looks after every single detail of his preparation. The nutrition is really good, and the doctor told us that obviously his bones were very strong and they reacted well. He's had ligament damage. Maybe a couple of weeks is what it takes, but he's reacting really well to treatment.
What does it say about our standing as a football club in world football, Robert, when somebody like Samuel Eto'o signs for the club? I mean, some people come up to me and say they still can't believe Samuel Eto'o plays for Everton.
Listen, as I said before, I think that there was a real strong culture inside this football club. that's been there, I'm sure, for decades since the club was formed. And I think one of the outcomes of that is that this football club is admired and respected across the world of football. It's a club that people know about. It's the club that people like. It's a club that people know does things in the right way. So I think our reputation in the game is excellent, and I think those qualities help us attract players like Samuel, who is a fantastic coup for this football club. And I suspect, like many people, you perhaps thought about Samuel's hunger, you thought about his physical capabilities, but I think he's proved that he's exceptionally hungry. He looks exceptionally fit, and let me tell you, he's a lovely man around this football club. He is warm and friendly and always willing to help, and is a great asset to the club on and off the field.
There was a piece of commentary I did during one of the games. It could have been Burnley. I never dreamt in a million years I'd ever say it. And at some points I said, Samuel Eto'o should have played Tony Hibbert in there. And it was quite surreal. But the lads love him, don't they? The lads are really taken to him.
They do. I think the first day when he walked in to Finch Farm, you could see that it was a real special excitement in the dressing room. Obviously, the players will never tell you that. But after the session, he stopped and he said to Joel Robles, I'll take a couple of penalties. And the whole squad somehow stopped and started stretching. And we're looking, we got 22 pros watching how Samuel Eto'o is practicing his penalty kicks. And you could see that it was something exciting, it's out of the ordinary. But now it's just, he's always got time to pass advice on. The other day on Thursday we did a session, and after the session he's giving advice to the goalkeeper. I'm thinking that's going too far. Next thing is going to be giving advice to Robert and myself. But he loves the game. He was born to play football. He's a winner. He's someone that it doesn't matter what the game is. It doesn't matter what the situation. He wants to win. He wants to help the youngsters. Already he's developed an incredible relationship with Romelu Lukaku and Ross Barkley. When he saw Ross Barkley training at full flow, he was like a big young boy with a big smile, thinking, "Wow, that's special," and that's the kind of footballer that we have at the club. Obviously, as any world-class footballers, you get to an end, but I think we've got a long road for Samuel, and every day is something that we take advantage to get someone like Samuel on a free transfer, as I said before, and I would never get tired of saying it's a gift that we need to take advantage and make sure that we learn from him, because his experiences are unique. To win the Champions League 3 times is something that is just in order to very special people.
I think also, Darren, of course, Roberto has to take a lot of the credit, because I think we are able to attract great players to our club, not just because it is a great club, because we've got great facilities at Finch Farm, but we have a manager who clearly some of the very best players in the world want to come and play for, so I think we should be very grateful for that.
We'll very shortly introduce you to our other 3 guests, ladies and gentlemen. But just finally, Roberto, for this section, you touched on it a couple of times, the youngsters who are learning from Samuel, and you said that 3 might come through to the first team. There's genuine excitement at Finch Farm about the quality of young football at the moment, isn't there?
It is, and I think we got one of the most renowned academies. The way we work with the youngsters, just the way we find the talent at really early age is important. But I think now we are quite unique in how we want to bridge. It's still a big bridge, a big gap between 18 years old players and the first team. And I feel very, very proud that with Robert, we're working extremely hard to be unique in how we're going to put a path for the youngsters to give them the best opportunity. That doesn't mean they're going to get into the first team, because at the end of the day it goes down to their talent and their approach. But we got someone like Joe Royal overlooking the final stage of the development of the youngsters. We send them out on loan. We've got all sort of the technical staff around them, and that's going to give them the perfect opportunity to be professionals and to be true Everton ambassadors. And I feel that there are 3 players that this season will play with the first team.
Yeah, no, just adding to what Roberto says again, Roberto has shown a real keen interest in youth development and already introduced some new ideas and new systems that have been fantastically well received. Focusing very clearly on development of players and adapting the way in which you develop them. That's been well received. Roberto and I talked to all the parents of the academy staff, and one sort of statement he made just sticks in my memory. It probably applies in many other walks of life, which is, your sons have to be brilliant at everything, but mind-blowingly good and amazing at one thing. And that was a real clear message he gave to the parents, that the standards are phenomenally high. They have to be great at everything, but they have to be just world-class at one thing. So again, I think we're blessed to have a manager who is making a big impact in our youth development process.
We've just got some questions from social media networks, Roberto. If you can just give us some quick-fire answers. Kane Forshaw, thanks very much to you, Kane. Which Everton player would you not like to be stuck in a lift with?
That's a good question. Maybe Graeme Sharp, because I know he's standing somewhere there. But no, I think I would enjoy any Everton player. I think I would get.
Ozzy would wear off after a while, wouldn't he?
Yeah, that's true.
I'd like to get that one in. Lydia, who was your sporting hero when you were growing up?
It was Johan Cruyff. Yeah, Johan Cruyff, as you know, was a Dutch footballer that arrived in Barcelona, and Barcelona at that time was having a terrible time, and he won the league for Barcelona against Madrid. And as a young boy that I love football, I saw this. For me, it was a unknown player coming from abroad that he brought glory to Barcelona. Someone special, the way he did it, really.
A question from Matt. He said, how does it feel to be so settled at the club and loved by so many Evertonians?
Well, no, I feel blessed. I feel so privileged to be the manager of an incredible football club. And I always know that as a manager you are loved until you get 3 defeats on a trot. So I'm working hard to try not to see that happening.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have got 3 special guests just waiting in the wings to come through. They've just been helping themselves to popcorn and hot dogs. Please welcome 1987 league title winner Ian Snodin. '95 FA Cup winner Graeme Stuart. '85 and 1987 league title winner, 1984 FA Cup winner, 85 European Cup Winners' Cup winner, and the man that Roberto Martinez would least like to be stuck in a lift with. Please welcome Graeme Sharp. We'll obviously hear from all 3 of the lads. It has been a special occasion for them today. They've been down to the chairman's office. We'll speak a little bit more about that very shortly, but we've just got a piece of film to show you, and I think you'll enjoy this. Roberto, I know you're a very busy man. We'll just ask you a couple of more questions. If you can just grab the microphone, I'd just like you to tell us what you think of the various hairstyles that Ian Snodin's had over the years. I don't think you could carry many of them off, could you?
No, at all, no. I think the way the hair's going, I don't think I've got much choice, but it is good to see so much silverware in those pictures. You can take for granted it's so difficult to win a trophy. So it's great to see that. We are so lucky to have 3 ambassadors that represent the football club in the right manner, that is incredible, with the amount of experience and the amount of big memories that they already live, to be the perfect link for us as a football club. It gives me a great happiness, and I thank you all for all the work that you've done so far, because it's been terrific.
Thank you. The boys were formally announced today, Snods and Diamond, as brand new ambassadors for the football club to join Sharp, who's obviously been here for many years. And it just goes back to what you were saying before about the DNA of the football club. It just goes right through Everton Football Club, doesn't it?
Well, it is, and obviously for me the most important thing is to know what the fans think, and to make sure that all we do is to try to make you happy, make you proud, and you need that link, and it's impossible to get that information. And obviously Ian, Graeme and Sharpie, they are there, they can be talking with the fans, they understand, they breathe Everton. It's not that they need to understand the football club, is a way of living. And that for me gives me a great satisfaction, that I know that our fans are in good hands, in the same way as a football club we get the feelings that we need to know to carry on progressing, carry on growing, and all feel ready that we're all together to face adversity, because there's never a plain and simple fight in football if you want to achieve big things, and obviously the link is vital.
Once again, nobody else could have said it any better. I know you're ready to go, Roberto. Thank you very much indeed for your time tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, the boss.
Thanks, Roberto.
Robert, if I can just start with you, it must have been a very easy decision for the football club to make to get this pair on board, or was it?
It was a very easy decision. A fellow South Yorkshire man on the end. We're the only 2 people in the club who can understand one another, so that helps. But no, it's terrific, and it's exactly as you said, Darren. It's the DNA of the club. It's respecting this great history that we have. And these 3 gents are tremendous ambassadors, so it's a real pleasure to have them on board.
Easy decision to make, Snods, to accept the chairman's offer?
Absolutely. I was proud as hell when I signed in '87 for Everton Football Club, and it was another proud day today to be called upon as an ambassador along with Graeme and Graham. And I think everybody realises what Everton means to me. All right, I might be a Yorkshireman, but I'm an adopted Scouser. But first and foremost, I'm an Evertonian, and I'm a fan, just exactly like yous. I'm no different, and to be given this role, it's an absolute honour, and I'm delighted.
And the chairman's enthusiasm for the appointments was fantastic, wasn't it today, Graeme?
Yeah, that came across very clearly. The chairman's an incredibly passionate man, absolutely adores this football club, wears his heart on his sleeve, and to see the passion that Bill has rubs off on us as well. You know, as Snods has touched on already, we're all Evertonians. We've got a huge craving to see the club push forward. We're really positive at this moment in time. I think the manager is an incredibly positive man at the helm, and we're all behind, you know, Roberto and Robert and everybody at the football club to drive this club forward and become, you know, where it was when the likes of Sharpie were, you know, and Peter Reedy, Andy Grays of this world were winning European titles. That's what we desperately crave for this present day squad to become.
Sharpie, when the manager talks about the DNA of the football club, and you and I were on tour when he first arrived at Everton, and it was clear, wasn't it, from day one that he had every ounce of respect for what had been achieved in the past?
Yeah, definitely. He's a very knowledgeable guy. Everybody knows that. I think he looked into the history of Everton. He was well aware of the history, what he was taking over, the size of the club. He probably looked at it and thought, you know, I can make these better. You know, I can and make Everton a better team. You know, and he's on the way to doing that. You know, it's still early days, but I think what we saw last year, especially the form that we shows that what we can achieve. And you know, I think the manager's really positive, an out-and-out gentleman. I think from the first moment he walked through the door, he's made everybody feel welcome. You know, and there's a different atmosphere in the club now, and I think that's down to the manager.
Robert, the guys certainly look the part, nice and smart in their Everton suits. What is their remit as ambassadors?
It's a pretty broad remit because the club extends into so many different aspects of community. The club has so many activities around a match day, so many activities of a commercial nature and a PR media nature. So to support and represent those activities that we do, there is a hefty focus on our community work, which we're immensely proud of. There's a focus also on youth development. So it's occasions when the club needs that senior level representation, and so it's really important. So I think we'll see the players working very, very hard across a number of areas of the club, and I know they're relishing it. We certainly are as well. So looking forward to it.
And there's an international angle to it as well. The chairman was saying today, wasn't there, Snods?
Yeah, that's right. I'm looking forward to them international trips away, to be honest. But I've got to behave myself now that I'm an ambassador. So, but no, very much looking forward to just being part of one happy team, whether we're abroad or whether we're at Goodison, whether we're out in the community. Every role really will take up the three of us time, and as I say, whether we are abroad or whether we're at Alderey Hospital, we'll give the same time, same attention to everybody out there.
Let's just move on to the current football issues for a bit then, Snods. I didn't want to put the gaffer on the spot as we're live on evertonfc.com. But I'd just like you to make some comment on the things Roy Keane said today, which looked a little bit daft. And we are live.
I know
on
we are.
evertonfc.com.
I know. To play for your country, any country, is a fantastic honour. Unfortunately, I got called up once, and due to my injuries, I couldn't play. So it was a massive disappointment. That so to play for your country is one of the proudest things that you'll do in football. So for Roy Keane to say that about our players with the Irish team is a little bit disappointing. I think he's been a little bit disrespectful as well, because I believe in two players that show everything for Everton, 110% every game, McCarthy and Seamus Coleman. For them not to want to play or come injured and stuff like that, I just think it's unfair. I think the words he's used are unfair, and I think Roy Keane's totally wrong in that way. It does.
A little bit of a smokescreen after Ireland suffered a defeat against Scotland, Graeme?
Perhaps. Defer the attention away to something else, maybe. I reiterate what Snod said. I mean, Seamus and James McCarthy been, phenomenal performance for this football club, and they're very proud Irishmen as well. So, they want to go away, they want to represent their country, they want to play in World Cup finals because it's great for them. As a footballer, you do want to do well first and foremost for your football club, but on the world stage as well, when you get the opportunity to represent your country in World Cups, etc., European Championships. What an honour that is as well. So why would they not want to join up with the squad and play international football? It's not in their makeup. So I think Roy's very unfortunate with the comments he's made, and I think he'd be a bigger man to maybe step onto the scene and retract them.
Maybe so. Sharpie, it was a good old-fashioned cup tie, wasn't it, Ireland-Scotland?
Yeah, it was fantastic just speaking to Roberto in there before we came on. No, he was at the game. He said there wasn't a lot of football played, but it was an old-fashioned British encounter, I think. Ireland set out to be difficult to beat. Didn't really play a lot of football. Scotland, I think, deserved to win on the night. Took a set-piece goal, but I think just to reiterate what the lads said there about Seamus and James McCarthy, they want to play in every single game. Not just for Everton, for Ireland as well. So I think the comments were wrong from Roy Keane, but I shouldn't be surprised at that, should we? And I just think that, for me, the Scotland game the other day, it's great to see Everton players playing in that. I thought Stephen Naismith was outstanding. I think he's been outstanding for us over the last few months, and it was great to see him getting the recognition now. He never scored, but I thought he gave John O'Shea a really torrid time. So it's great to see the Everton players represented. Obviously, the game tomorrow against England, the most important thing for me is that we get our players back, for the weekend fully fit. Yeah, it's a big occasion tomorrow night, but the most important thing, and it's a selfish attitude now, is that we get our players back, fully fit and ready to face West Ham.
How big a game is that for Scotland?
England-Scotland. I think it's a bigger game for England.
Oh, behave yourself. They've won a game. He thinks they're going to win World Cup now, Sharpie.
No, I think it's obviously in Scotland, so the pressure's on Scotland. I think it'll be interesting how England approach the game. I don't think they'll play their strongest team. I think they'll give a lot of the youngsters a chance. But I think it won't be a friendly. I think it can't be a friendly with Scotland playing at home. You know, they're determined to beat England. So it'll be interesting. But as I said again, hopefully Ross, Nazy, you know, whoever plays comes back fit and well. But I think Scotland will win 3-0. Only joking, by the way.
But I was going to say, what would your feelings be? It's 0-0. 2 minutes ago, Ross Barkley scores an overhead kick from the edge of the box. As an Evertonian.
Offside. Yeah. No, listen, we want to see them doing well. You know, Ross is a fantastic talent, so he'll probably play and feature. I think it's difficult in international football. I found it myself, and when you play against your teammates, it's really, really difficult. You know, you're training with them every day. We played Wales in the World Cup qualifier. I was up against Neville Southall, Pat Vandenhouw, Kevin Ratcliffe. You know, and for the first, say, 5-10 minutes, you're not sure, you know, to make the challenges that you'd make in a league game. But once the first tackle went in, it was just all hell broke loose. You just thought, look after yourself. We've got to win. We've determined to win. We won. We got a draw on the day, which made us qualify. So they weren't very happy afterwards. But it's a really difficult one playing against your teammates in international fixtures.
Just touched on Ross Barkley there, Snods. How good can that kid be?
I've been saying it since we were 14-year-old. I were a little bit frustrated when our previous manager, who, again, I thought did a fantastic job at Everton Football Club, so I'm not going to say anything wrong about David Moyes. But I just felt that he didn't give Ross the opportunity, even at a young age, to go and express himself. All right, yeah, he was bound to make mistakes, and he'll still be making mistakes, but I just think he's a great individual talent. He's a man. He's been a man probably in shape in his body since he was 16-year-old, but the way he plays the game, way he picks balls up and runs at defenders, I think he's got everything to be a top, not only club footballer but international footballer. And he excites me, Ross, when I'm doing Everton TV with yourself, and it is very biased, the Everton TV commentary, but that's what we're there for. But Ross Barkley excites me, and every time he picks a ball up, I always feel that something's going to happen. And we've got one or two players like that, but I think Ross Barkley will be an Everton player for years to come, and hopefully an international player for years to come.
We were talking about positivity before, Robert. One of the big plus points at the moment is the amount of young players that are on long-term contracts. The club have worked very, very hard to make that happen.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Ross, John Stones, Romelu, Seamus, James McCarthy, all, you know, well under the right side of 25, all on long-term deals. We have absolutely, Darren, worked really hard to get into that position, and it's a good position to be in. And we touched on it before with Roberto. There's a real exciting crop of 17, 18-year-olds coming through, a crop that, you know, listen, the transition, as Roberto said, from junior to senior football is difficult, and there's no certainty in that. But the 16, 17-year-olds we had, who are now 17, 18, were regarded as the best in the country. So that's, you know, really exciting. It's a position clearly you want to be in. As I said, there's no guarantees they will all make it, but there's a lot to be optimistic about in that front. So the age of the nucleus of the squad is a real asset to us.
The transition from 18 to the Premier League is a massive step, and that's why, Graeme, I suppose it's ideal when so many of our young boys go out on loan.
Yeah, I think the loan system is there to be utilised, and you know, we've got Big Joe Royle back at the helm as well, overlooking that scenario. You know, picking out, you know, not just players to go to clubs, any old club, and get some league experience, but a club that will help them, you know, develop every day when they train and every match that they play as well, which is vitally important. You don't want to just send players out anywhere to a side that won't suit their style of play, and I think Joe looks at that very, very closely. But it is a difficult transition, and as Robert's just touched on there, you know, there's no guarantees in life. You know, you can be a fantastic 16, 17-year-old player and never play a Premier League game in your life. It is very, very difficult. It's become even more difficult to break through because of the influx of foreign players coming into the country as well. But I think Everton as a football club, I think we've got to be very proud of the youth that we brought through. I think we're probably one of the only clubs in the Premier League that I can think of off the top of my head that, you know, regularly gets young players into their first team squad, and you know, that's credit to the manager and the staff at the football club.
How good is it, Sharpie, to have Big Joe Royle back at the club?
Yeah, fantastic. I've got a lot of time for Joe. He was a manager at Oldham. He sent me for Oldham. But he's Everton through and through. Even when we were at Oldham, you know, the first result he was always looking at after games was how Everton got on. So it's great. He's got great experience, and as Graeme said there, he'll look after the kids. He'll know what the right thing is for the kids. He's out and about. To think that, you know, he nearly joined Norwich, you know, but then when the opportunity came to join Everton, you know, Norwich were always going to get kicked into touch. You know, he's got a great affinity to the club. He was a fantastic player. You know, good manager at the time. Diamond worked on won the FA Cup. But no, it's great to see him back. You know, and he loves to be back as well. You can see that.
The young kids can learn so much from playing Championship football, League One, League Two football. Snod, you were a teenager when you played for Doncaster Rovers. It was a school for hard knocks, wasn't it?
Yeah, it were difficult playing in the old 4th division and the old 3rd division at 16, 17-year-old. But you become a player when you're playing at that age. You become a man. You quickly grow up. You learn about the game very quickly. And I think playing under 18 and under 21, yeah, is nice. It's a nice game playing at that level. But I think to go out on loan and play where there's a crowd, where you're playing for something, you're playing for points, you're getting frustrated fans having a go at you, I think you learn very quickly. And I think to go out on loan and play, whether it be in the Championship, Division 1 or Division 2, I think it's far, far greater than playing in the under 21s every week in and week out, where you can get comfortable and just play along and everybody's happy. There's just the parents there, basically. Nobody's having a go at you. It's when you're out on a pitch and there's paying public having a go at you. That's when you learn, Darren. And the lads learn very quickly as well. And it's a great experience to go out on loan. But as Graeme has said, to have Joe Royal picking the teams that the lads go out on loan is a big plus as well.
There were some tough times at Chelsea, wasn't there, Graeme, when you were coming through? You came through the ranks to play for the first team, and this was obviously well before Roman Abramovich came over and started throwing money at Chelsea. And it's sink or swim time for a young footballer, isn't it?
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth, Aaron. Sink or swim sums it up for me, because when I was a young lad, you know, there was nobody there to pat you on the back and pick you up and everything will be all right. And, you know, can I do this for you? Can I do that for you? It was get on with it. And if you're not good enough, disappear down the road, because, you know, there's no place to hide out there. You know, I had the likes of Vinnie Jones and Dennis Wise and the Kerry Dixons of this world, and Big Mick Harford, Graham Roberts. You know, they're not the kind of guys to just pat you on the back and know everything will be all right. You had to learn, and you learnt quickly. And in some respects, that you know, is good for your development. It's a little bit different now. There's a different culture about things, a different way of doing things, and you probably do get looked after a little bit better. But I certainly wouldn't have changed the way I was brought up, because I think it shapes you as a person.
Would you bring some of those days back? Would you have the kids in the summer to paint the dressing rooms, paint the goalposts, clean the boots and sweep the terraces? I know you would.
It's a difficult one, isn't it? I mean, you know, the game has moved on. You've got to look after the players in a different way. You know, football evolves, life evolves, doesn't it? I think there's some good old-fashioned values that I still wouldn't mind seeing installed into the young players. I think it would make them realise how fortunate they are. Maybe wash the kit once a week or something like that and see what it's like. Clean a few boots.
Has he not told you that's what you two are in for? There's method in the madness, you know.
No airs and graces with us, Sharpie. We'll do that. Mind you don't even know how to work your own washing machine, Snoz, do you?
All right, calm down.
Let's get someone in to fix it. Sharpie, talking about schools for hard knocks, what about playing amateur football in Glasgow on an ash pitch?
Yeah, he certainly brought you up in the right way, just talking as a boys, but in Scotland and Glasgow there was a very successful amateur scene. Alec Ferguson had come through with a team called Harmony Row. Andy Gray was Drumchapel Amateurs. Celtic had a boys club, and I was playing for a team called Easter Craigs, which were successful as well. But we never played in grass. We played in red ash pitches, or even in the odd occasion black ash pitches where they'd just taken it out of the coal mine and spread it and flattened it, and you played there. And I'll never forget, every night you'd come home and your old fella would say, right, stand in the bath, and you go, oh, and you'd be cut to bits and you'd been sliding in the ash, and you get the Dettol on a wire brush and just and clean it all for you, kind of thing. So you grew up very quickly playing in Glasgow, but it was It's sad now when you go up there and there's not the facilities anymore, and people ask why there's not as many Scots kids coming down to England. You know, I wish I could answer the question, but certainly in our day there was a fantastic array of talent that came down, and that was a big thing in Scotland. You wanted to play down in England. It was a better league, and fortunate enough I was able to do that. But certainly it was a hard upbringing in Glasgow.
Talking of arenas in which to play your football, Robert, there's been talk of a new stadium in recent weeks. Can you just update us on that?
Yeah, it's a project that we've been working on probably 12, 18 months now. I think we first sort of hinted at our intention at the AGM last year, and as a result of Liverpool City Council publishing what's called a local plan for North Liverpool 3 or 4 weeks ago, we had to declare our interest. We were pleased to declare our interest in developing Walton Hall Park. It's a site that we think has got great merit. It's a site that we'd like to try and develop and bring to fruition. I think, you know, the discussions, the debate about whether we can redevelop Goodison have resurfaced, but it's still, I think, absolutely our opinion that that's just too challenging, too difficult, probably too expensive, with uncertain predictability about whether we can actually achieve it and deliver it, which means we have to look to develop a new stadium. The big game changers, if you like, and I know that's a cliche, but the game changers, if you like, for Everton Football Club will be a big stadium that we fill every week, or it will be new investor on the lines of Chelsea or Manchester City, and we continue to pursue both of those strands. In respect to Walton Hall Park, where we are right at the moment is this month we are meeting a number of specialist advisors who are going to help us develop a planning application. Our intention is to try and progress towards a planning application sort of late summer, early autumn 2015. That will be a planning application for the whole site. So it's quite a complex and quite a big planning application. Will be significant in expense. It will be expensive for us to develop that. We need to find a fantastic master planning company, an organisation that specialises in master planning on such a site. We need to find designers and architects. We need to find transport specialists, etc. So there are a series of meetings later this month where we'll review firms and select firms to take us into that planning process. In parallel with that, our ongoing discussions with Liverpool City Council, and I think it's been it has been revealed that the project is a regeneration project. The focus is taking Walton Hall Park and regenerating it and regenerating the area. It's about creating jobs, it's about creating new houses, it's about creating economic prosperity, about healthy lifestyles. So the combination of all of that is being folded into this master plan for the site. We're doing that because we think the city needs that. We think we're doing that because Everton, I think, prides itself on being a good citizen and a proud citizen of this city, and we're doing it because we want to galvanise the maximum support that we can get from Liverpool City Council. So 2 things ongoing at the moment. One is preparing for a planning application and selecting the people to go with us on that journey, and secondly to continue those negotiations with the Liverpool City Council around the site, around funding and around all those regeneration aspects that I talked about.
Thanks, Robert. Just on Goodison Snods, how good is it to see games against, with all due respect, the likes of Swansea and West Ham sold out? It's fantastic, isn't it?
It's fantastic. It really is. And talking as an ex-player, to walk out to a full stadium as well when Z-Cars is playing, there's no better feeling when you're in that tunnel and Z-Cars is playing and you walk out and you with our fans. The noise is fantastic. But I just think it's great that I know these are times. People do find getting to the games quite difficult, but Evertonians seem to find the money from somewhere. Really do, and I just think it's fantastic to. We as I said, we're always up there, Dad's doing commentary, and many a time we just said we can't see an empty seat, and it makes the players feel really proud. It really does when you go out there and there's a full stadium, and when they travel away, there's thousands of Evertonians go, and to play for Everton Football Club in front of a full house, no better feeling.
I mean, Ian, on the back of a record year for season ticket sales, here we are in mid-November. I've just seen a report this morning saying we've got 550 half-season tickets already sold on whatever, November the 17th, so 5-6 weeks before Christmas, a couple of weeks before, 2 weeks further before that offer kicks in, before those games are relevant. To have 550 half-season tickets on the board is fantastic, and I think, you know, that sets the scene for many more full houses in the second half of next season.
You and I were in Krasnodar, Diamond, and it really was a case of trains, planes and automobiles, wasn't it, for the punters? It was astonishing. Well,
it was. But the biggest compliment I can pay the fans is that none of us were surprised, because we know what Everton fans are all about. They go to the end of the earth to watch the side and support their side. And it's the one thing that's always stood out for me has been our away support, because whenever we go to away games, we pack the place. You know, we must be a joy for all the opposing sides, you know, to boost their, you know, attendances, because our fans travel in their thousands, week in, week out. And, you know, it makes you proud. And the players will tell you, you know, when you run out on an opposing ground and you look over and we've got our 3,500, 4,000, whatever our allocation is for that particular ground, it does give you a lift, and it's vitally important. You know, I remember a QPR a good few years ago now. I keep pretending to myself it was only a few years ago, but it was, the reality of it was a decade or so ago. But, you know, you go down to somewhere like Loftus Road and Everton take over the place. You know, and you know, we're an incredible club, and we got a massive fan base and an awful lot of support, and you should all be really proud of yourselves for that.
Dad, I was just going to say that, you know, even when we were playing in the 80s, and, you know, just a story, we had a crowd bonus in our contracts, you know, especially when we started becoming successful, and it was so many hundreds of pounds if the attendance was over 30,000. So I remember coming out, and the lads would come out, and right away they look around and go, "Oh, at least 35,000, 40,000 in here today. This is fantastic." And in those days, as you can remember, about 15, 20 minutes ago, the crowd would come up 28,000, and you could see all the lads going, 28,000, where's they get that from? So we go in afterwards to see Jim Greenwood, the secretary, and say, "Jim, what's going on?" He said, "I can only tell you what's on the screen. That's what's coming through the tunnel." So I said, "Come on, Jim." They would give us a bonus, and that was it. I think things have changed.
Have they changed, Robert? Any plans to bring a crowd bonus back? How far can we go in the Europa League, Sharpie?
Well, I think we're nearly nailed on for the next stage. You know, obviously, the next game is going to be crucial, because that'll be a tough game. I honestly thought Leo would be a tough opposition, but the way we dismantled them at Goodison was really impressive. Wolfsburg, the first game at Goodison, 4-1 flattered us a little bit. You know, they had a few chances, so there'll be a tough game. But, you know, Krasnodar, the last game of the season, I think we'll hopefully do enough to get through into the next stages. Again, depends on the draw. You know, teams dropping out the Champions League as well. Competition gets a little bit harder. I don't agree with that. I think if you get knocked out of one, you shouldn't be able to go into another one. But we'll just have to wait and see. But some good clubs in the Europa League this year. And when we went out and for the draw in Monaco, and, you know, you saw like Inter Milan out there, and, you know, you just realise it was, you know, although it doesn't get a lot of plaudits, the competition. I think Roberto is one of these managers who, when he enters a competition, he wants to win it. You know, and I think he'll be looking at it now thinking, let's get the qualifying thing through. Let's see if we get the next round, and let's see if we can go all the way.
I'd just like to say I'll be over in Wolfsburg, and anybody wanting a good night, I've now got responsibilities, so I'll not be out partying. I've got work to do now.
Remember, you heard that in here. Just remember, please feel free to contact us if you do see him out.
Look out for the man in the Everton suit. Top four, still the aim, Snods?
Without a doubt, no. Yeah, I honestly think that. I think Chelsea, I think will be home and dry. I think they are a good side. I thought the game at Goodison against Chelsea was an absolutely fantastic game. We were always in it, and every time we kept getting back into it, Chelsea seemed to score a goal not long after, but I thought it was a fantastic game. But I feel that Chelsea will win the league. They've got a strong squad, playing well, got a great manager. But I feel the other three places, even Man City, are not playing with much confidence. They seem to be individually good players, but as a team at the minute, collectively, they're not doing the business. So the other lot from over the other side of the park, they've no chance anyway. So, I just feel that we've got a great squad. I really do. When everybody's fit, I look at our squad and I think that takes some beating. That, and all right, Arsenal will be up there. Man United have got a few problems still at the back, etc. So I just feel if we consistently now play consistent from now to the end of the season, we've got a great chance of being fourth in the top four without a question. I think we're a good side, as I say. We're hard to beat, and I would be disappointed if we're not there and thereabouts come the end of the season, Daz.
The table's still very congested, isn't it? It's not early days anymore. The season's well underway, but it's still very congested. It's still very tight.
Yeah, it is. I agree with Snods. I think Chelsea done and dusted for me. Certainly, not necessarily just definitely for the Premier League Championship, but certainly one of the top four spots. I think City will come through because ultimately the quality of their squad says they must be in the Champions League qualifying position. Arsenal always seem to find a way, and then I think the rest of us we're in a pool. There's us, Man United, Tottenham, the other mob across the road, and it's there for the taking. There's a spot there for the taking for me. I think Arsenal will ultimately, come through. So that leaves one spot, and we were very, very close to doing it last season. We just need to get a consistent run of games. As you mentioned, Daz, it's very, very congested there. You win 2 or 3 on the spin, and you move yourself 3, 4, 5 places up the table. It's as simple as that. We've got the quality to do it. There's plenty of time. There's plenty of time left in this Barclays Premier League for us to mount a serious challenge, because it is a genuine opportunity for us, because the league says so. And there's nothing to be afraid of from where I'm looking. Man United, Liverpool, Tottenham, there's nothing there for us to be feared. They fear us just as much as we look at them and respect them. So, we just got to have a belief about us. Fans, the players, the staff, we've just got to genuinely believe that we can do it, and we belong in that kind of company.
Sharpie, people keep waiting for the Southampton bubble to burst, but it might not do.
I was just going to say, the lads never mentioned it, but Southampton have done really well. Koeman's come in, they thought, I think as the season started, they were going to be tipping for relegation because they'd lost a lot of players. But no, they're doing well. I think they'll be there or thereabouts. Obviously, there'll be a part of the season where they have a blip. Happens to everybody. But no, he's done a fantastic job there. We've just got to look after ourselves. We've started the season. It's been a little bit stop-start. Something I think every team can say if this and but that. But you look at the Arsenal game at home, we were ahead. Leicester away. So there's points we've slipped up in a little bit, but we've just got to make sure that we get everybody back fit and ready. I think we've had a little hiccup after the World Cup with some players, but I think we're more than easily likely to get into that top 4. But we need to get some more consistency. I think we talk about the team and the players, and earlier on in the season it was about conceding too many goals, and people were looking at certain players where it was a team effort. Now we're struggling a little bit in the final 4, if you like, the striker and the 3 behind, to get the right blend. I think the manager's been changing it, just trying to find that blend. Ross has been sitting out some, Ozzy's been sitting out some, Stephen Pienaar. So I think it's just getting that mix right in the final third, and I think we'll be up there again without a shadow of a doubt.
We'll speak about the West Ham game shortly, but also have a word with the guys about their career highlights at Everton Football Club over the years. But we've just got another piece of film to show you. We've been down to Finch Farm to get 1 or 2 tributes to our new ambassadors.
As a player, obviously, it was all my family, obviously, all Blues, and everyone talks about obviously Sharpie and obviously goals at Anfield. Do you know what I mean? It's one of them. Sharpie is a legend.
He does, and it's a great thing that we've again got him as our ambassador. He's won league titles and cups and trophies, and I think he's only second in the all-time goal scoring history for Everton, Dean. So it shows the calibre of person and player we're talking about.
I think the worst tackle I probably received in my career was from Graeme Stewart. He had a really bad touch in midfield. His touch was actually quite good, to be quite honest. It wasn't too bad, but he took a bad touch and I read his touch, and I thought to myself, right, I'm gonna win this one anyway. So he just delayed himself a little second. I'm not too sure actually if the touch was intentional or not, just to try and go over the top of me. But I won the ball and he's come down on me like a ton of bricks, and he smashed my shin. I had about 12 stitches at half time during that game.
Graeme was a pleasure. I remember after the semi-final and against Tottenham, one of Everton's best performances. I was thinking, in my time watching Everton, I thought we were terrific that day, and Graeme Stuart was up there with the best. And I actually said afterwards I might owe him a little apology, because when I came to Goodison as a manager, I probably thought that Graeme was a bit of a jack of all trades, and he wasn't. He was a specialist in a number of positions. Top player for me, that link between striker and midfield. You know, he was a worker, had a marvellous first touch, and I did underrate him, and I apologised to him personally, which he accepted.
Snods, yeah. He obviously, growing up watching, you always remember the players, and obviously you get the likes of Sharp, and you know, the Diamond scoring the goals, and Snods was always there. He was always he's a very good player and a good character to have around.
Snods is a rascal. He's always got a smile. He's great on radio. He still tells the best tale I ever hear in after dinner speaking about his experience in the Wimbledon game. If anyone hasn't seen or heard it, it's hilarious. He was also the first player I'd released. He'd had one or two injury problems. I got the job in November '94, and Snods came to see me to see if he could go and join Graeme Sharp at Oldham, and I said, yeah. You know, quite honestly, we were well served at fullback, and he probably needed a change. So he went to play with his mate Sharpie, and it worked for both of them. He's come back to Everton. He feels it's his club. You know, I know he started at Doncaster and then Leeds. As a player, one of the quickest players you've seen, top player. No, Snods is good fun. I've experienced Snods.
Great players. You know, growing up watching them play football, be involved in some big games. They were truly terrific players for us, you know. Winning titles, winning cups, you know, playing in that massive game that kept us in the league back in '94, you know, and the Diamond scored the goals. So, you know, some big characters and been some major parts of our history, and they've been involved in.
The fans look up to them, the players look up to them for what they've done for the club, and it is really important to have people like them, and legends as they are, still at the club.
You know, this club is steeped in history. You know, we know that as players and fans, and you know, if we can delve into that history with speaking and using the former players' experience, then, you know, I think it's a no-brainer.
What did Ozzy really think, Des?
And I thought Joe Royle were the worst manager we've ever had, by the way. How he let me go, I'll never know.
One of the nicest men I've ever met since I've been involved in football, Kilban. How could you smash Kevin Kilban?
He's never smashed anybody in his life, by the way.
You didn't realise I was a hatchet man, did you? What did he say, 12 stitches? Yeah. He's one of the lucky ones, let me tell you. He's a great fella, Kev. I've shaken his hand and apologised many a time to him, but I didn't realise it was 12 stitches.
Oh, you caught him good and proper.
No, right, fair enough.
Was it a deliberate bad touch, or was it just a bad touch?
It was just a general, normal, everyday, at a mill first touch for me, I think. I don't know about a great first touch. Obviously, Kevin disagreed with him, but no, I mean, listen, how touching is that to listen to some of the comments the lads have had to say there? So, quite humbling that, Daz.
Has the electric pace gone, Snods, for good?
Oh, it's well gone. But I've got to admit, I work quick. And
by the way, I have to listen to this every day and telling me.
But listen, we've all heard the Wimbledon story.
I was quick.
We've all heard that.
Sharpie, just because you didn't have my electric pace. You'd have been a good player if you had my electric pace, by the way. But yeah, the pace is well gone now. And even going to the bar, it's pretty slow as well. The lads will tell you that. But yeah, as Diamond said, it's great to listen to Ozzy, Hibbo, Joe saying nice things about the three of us, and as I said, we're all Evertonians. We love this club, and it's just a privilege and a pleasure to give him this role as an ambassador.
2-0 down at home to Wimbledon. We get a penalty. Did Snods show electric pace to try and get the ball?
Can we just put this right? Can I just say something on this Wimbledon game? He thinks he was the only player on the pitch that day. He forgets there were 10 others there as well, by the way. But when the penalty got awarded, I asked quietly, could I take it? And And then when they said no, I thought, well, let me get off and leave it to the man.
And the truth, Graham?
Well, the truth is he was talking about his electric pace. I tell you what, none more so than that day, because his electric pace was at the back of the Gladys Street when that penalty got awarded, let me tell you. You were nowhere near it, Snods, and you know it. But no, it was one of those situations, I was there to take the penalty. I knew I had to take it. I apologise because we should never... I said it earlier, we should never ever have been in that situation as a football club, and I'm not proud to sit here and pretend otherwise. We should never have been there, but I am proud that given the day, myself and Snods were there and we got ourselves out of jail because we literally did that afternoon, and that penalty just gave us that little bit of hope going in at half-time, and had the inspirational Mike Walker to thank for his half-time talk. No. He was a lovely guy, Mike, really. He was a nice guy, but, it's difficult to come from Norwich to Everton. I found it, coming from London, the intensity of life on Merseyside. It's something to behold, it really is. And it's not until you get up here and realise what football means to the people of this city that it takes a while to get your head around it. But, that day was, thankfully, the gods were smiling on us, because there's many a good side that's disappeared out of the Barclays Premier League or the Premier League Old First Division, whichever way you want to call it, and never come back. So thankfully we never had to go through that, and hopefully we never go through it again.
Where were you that day, Sharpie?
I was I'd signed for Oldham, and we were at Norwich, playing Norwich away. I think Oldham were already down, but obviously Joe Royle was the manager. I was injured, so I went down there. I was sitting in the dugout, and reports were coming through, what was happening at Goodison. I couldn't believe it. Not that Diamond had scored, but I just couldn't believe
Thank you,
that Barry Horn had scored a rocket from about 25 yards. I couldn't believe that. Also, Hans Sagers dived over the ball. I could believe that. So all these stories were getting fed to us. I said to Joe Royle, whilst our game was going on, I said, "You'll never believe what's going on at Goodison. It's mental." And he said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Oh, it's crazy." And we finished the game, we drew 1-1, we got on the bus, and Joe had been in the boardroom, and he came out and he went, "I've just had a look at the goals." He says, "You were right, Everton were always going to win that game." He says, "Hans Sagers dived the wrong way for your penalty, or you could have hit it down the middle."
Sent the wrong way, I think,
yeah.
you find, Graham.
Then the one that's bobbled over him from a back pass, was it? So we were there, dads. Listen, Joe and I were willing Everton, obviously, to win the game, but some of the stories leading up to that game, and obviously their team bus got torched outside the hotel and all that.
Allegedly.
Everton were going to win that game all day long.
Robert, it's a lovely piece of film, and it's thorough vindication of the decision to appoint these lads to join Sharpie. Everybody at the football club is clearly right behind it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'll echo what I said before. It's a real honour to have the guys on board, and we can sit in here and listen to hours and hours and hours of great stories and never tire of hearing the same ones over and over again. But they're great ambassadors for the club, so looking forward to working with them.
We'll be in the commentary position, Snods, as we always are on Saturday against West Ham, and that will be a difficult game.
Yeah, it will be a difficult game. West Ham have started the season very well. Hopefully we're not going to have too many injuries, because it's looking a little bit, obviously a few of the lads, Leighton Baines, the latest one, who had to pull out the England game. But I still feel, I've said it before, we've got a great squad. Whoever comes in and plays on Saturday at Goodison Park, full house, I don't expect us to get beat. I'm hoping we get 3 points, and I think we will get 3 points. But in all fairness, West Ham have turned it round a little bit. They're starting to play a little bit more attractive football, got some decent players. It will be a difficult game, there's no question about it. But Everton at Goodison, 3 points for me.
They've been a bit of a surprise package, haven't they, West Ham, to be fair, Graham?
Yeah, they have. He's been under some pressure as well, Big Sam Allardyce, but in fairness to him, he always sets his side up to be difficult to beat. They're probably playing as Snods mentioned there, they're probably playing a better style of football this season, which, again, a club like West Ham demand from their sides. They don't want to see the ball launched up to a big centre forward. They demand decent football. So hopefully that'll lend itself to us in a funny way as well, because we obviously like to play out from the back and plenty of passing and build up slowly and patiently. So hopefully the fact that West Ham play like they do now will play into our hands to a degree. But it remains to be seen what side Roberto can put out, because we have got some injury concerns. Obviously, I'm not so sure that Gareth will be back ready, but which is a huge miss for me. But it gives other people the opportunity to come in and stake their claim. You know, I'm sure they're absolutely desperate to make their mark on this football club and the team. And it's a great opportunity if they get if they get that chance on Saturday to come in and show that they should be playing on a regular basis. And that's the competition that I know Roberto and the staff here at Everton want, because that will create, you know, opportunities for the players. You know, it'll keep everybody on their toes, and that's what ultimately pushes you to get better as an individual.
It will be a great game. It will be a full house. It'll be a cracking atmosphere, Robert. What's the etiquette in the director's box? Can you jump up and down and cheer like they do in the Gladys Street when a goal goes in, and taunt the opposition directors with with a quick song? Probably not.
I have to say I do struggle to keep my emotions in check. I was at Anfield earlier on this year, and it's horrible. You just sit there, and most of the time the fans in front of you are just turning around staring at you, and of course they went a goal up and they just stare and stare and stare, and then they started banging the back of the director's box, and I'm sat about 2 down from Roberto's wife Beth. Anyway, when Jags scored, I was out of my chair kicking the back of the director's box.
That's a fine, by the way. That is a fine, Dad.
That is the first time that's ever happened to me. It's happened to all of us now, isn't it?
Anyway. And
it's only the misses. It can't be anything important.
And I think Beth just looked at me and went, "For goodness sake, please sit down, Robert." But it's hard to keep emotions in check. You know, you fall in love with the club. It matters so much to you when you get the results, and yeah, sometimes it's really difficult to keep emotions in check.
It must be tricky for you, Sharpie. You're sitting about 5 yards away from John Aldridge when that goal goes in.
I've had a few escapades at Anfield over the years. It's not the best place to go to, but this year my daughter was at the game, but she was over the other side, and she was in a box, and it was just full of Liverpool fans. So she said to me before the game, "Dad, what will I do if Everton score?" I said, "What do you mean what you do? You jump up like everybody else." So she's sitting there, and Everton scored, Jags scored, and she looked around, she looked across at the main stand, and she could see me in the commentary box up like that, "Get in there." She said, "I just done the same, Dad." She said, "I get so many dirty looks and everything else." She said, "But I didn't care." So, listen, it still means so much. See, the Derby game now, we love playing in them, but I hate watching them. You know, they were fantastic games to play in, because you had an input of what the outcome was going to be. When you're sitting there just watching, you can't. And over there as well, it is really tough, because the press box is right in amongst their support. And as Robert says, they're always turning round, and one's been close to fisticuffs. But that's Old Trafford's the same. They'd sit right in front and look back. But although John Aldridge is good, you know, obviously biased Liverpool, but he's okay, honestly. Honestly, I'll give you that.
Snods and I get some strange looks in the commentary box at Goodison, because we're sitting right behind Radio 5. We've sometimes got the opposition commentators and co-commentators sitting to the left of us, and we're the only commentators, I think, in the Premier League who join in the singing, aren't we?
Do, to be honest. We love it when Kevin Morales scores or Big Ron, because we know the songs, and we just sing out loud, don't we, Des? And it's fantastic. But as Sharpie says, we're fans on commentary, and I only see Everton. I don't see the opposition or anything. And every time we get a chance, every time we get a goal, there's no better feeling. And I'm up, whether it be at Anfield, Old Trafford, or anything. I just give it loads, and I'm proud to say that yeah, I'm up. Giving it that one, and if they want to argue, I'll let them argue, but all I care about is Everton Football Club.
And if you haven't heard Diamond and myself, the commentary when Jag scores, it is worth a listen, because we went berserk, didn't we?
Yeah, we did go absolutely ballistic that day, didn't we? I mean, I think it was the fact that we were desperately running out of time, weren't we? And we knew we were going to be in for a bit of stick and a bad night and what have you, and you know, for the ball to drop to Jags, you know, there was a half expectancy that it was going in the. Sorry, Jags, but no, he dropped to it, and it was a sensational strike, you know, and to score a goal to wreck their night in front of the Kop as well. You know, we went ballistic. The headphones came flying off. They got pulled out the lead and everything like that. With cups of coffee flying everywhere. The lot. It was sensational. It doesn't get any better than just taking points off Liverpool at Anfield. It really doesn't. I've had the pleasure of going there and winning all 3 points, and Oh, I just love it.
Graeme,
It's amazing.
would you say it's the best goal ever by an Everton player?
Do you know what? It's a difficult one, Snods, but I think it is.
I think it is, to be
it
quite
is. I mean,
honest.
The only thing I'll answer that, and I've told Jags, it wasn't the winning goal, so it can't be up there. It was only the equaliser. So unfortunately,
I'll give you that, Sharpie. Yeah, I'll give you that.
Show of
from the
hands.
halfway line.
Show of hands. We can just about make you out. Best goal by an Everton player at Anfield. Is it Sharpie's?
I'll behave.
Oh, come on, just because he's here. Come
Yeah.
on.
Hey,
Go on, Jags.
One thing's for sure, it's not Snods, is it?
I never used to cross the halfway line.
You did score at Wimbledon in front of about 3,000 fans,
Oh,
didn't you?
Daz, don't remind me. I scored. The best one I felt I scored was in
It's the diving header.
was
Here
in
we
the
go.
cup. Remember when we played Sheff Wednesday about
Won't
4
take long,
times? We played Sheff Wednesday about 4 times, and the lads blame me for the 4-3 play because they're saying I missed 2 chances, and I got through on both occasions. Beat the offside trap with my pace, electric pace. Got through, and unfortunately I just screwed them wide, the 2 shots. So the lads were having a go at me, and then obviously the result in the last game, we won 5-0. We were 5 up at half time, game, set and match. But we were 4 up, and a minute before half time, I breaks through again, and I gets the 5th goal, and I was proud as hell. It were the South Yorkshire lad right in front of their cop, and I'm thinking 5-0. So I just run to the corner flag of the Sheffield Wednesday end with my arms out like that, expecting all the lads to be jumping on me back. And I'm stood there for about 5 or 10 seconds. I'm thinking, where are they all? And I've turned around, they're all stood on the halfway line. And I thought, so as I jogged back, I went, what's happening, lads? They went, if it weren't for you, we wouldn't have been here tonight. He said it had been all over the last game, so the 2 chances. So I said, oh, thanks very much. But no, to score any goal. But the other one does, you're right. I scored in front of the...
Hold on a minute. What's going on here?
I only got 7, so I can describe every one of them. But the Wimbledon goal,
I'll
honestly,
get my
I played
missus to ring me
midfield.
back.
And like Joe Royal said about the diamond, his first touch, on that particular night, my first touch was unbelievable. I got it out on my feet, first touch, and just smashed it into the bottom corner. And there were only 3,500 there.
What about the one against Peter Shilton?
That was 25 yards out. Peter couldn't get nowhere near that one. The header at Bradford.
Diving header.
Unbelievable header at Bradford. And
That's you finished, that's them all.
no, I scored 2 more, one against Lincoln and one against Rotherham, but I'll not mention them.
What was the best goal you scored for Doncaster, Snods?
Overhead kick. I scored many a goal for Donny and Leeds. It was just that dried up when I signed for Everton.
You really didn't.
Obviously, Diamond, your favourite goals will include the semi-final of the FA Cup and the Wimbledon game. But technically, what was the best goal? What was the best goal you scored? Go on, the floor's yours. Big it up. Big it up.
I'd never big it up, Daz. I think the best goal I scored was probably home to Blackburn. I chipped. Who was the keeper at the time? England goalkeeper at the time. Tim Flowers. Yeah, Tim Flowers. I chipped Tim Flowers from about 22 yards. So technically, that was pretty good. And there was another one, QPR. We played one Tuesday night, I think it was, and Anders Limpar was out on the left, and he cut back and drilled a 40-yard ball across, and as it was coming over, I volleyed it over the goalkeeper as well. So that was tidy enough. So
They're decent goals. None of your diving
I
headers
mean,
against Bradford.
there's so many to mention, Daz. I can't remember.
He chipped him. That was his touch. He just bounced off him and went over Tim Flowers.
Listen, I'll take that all day long, a touch into the back of the net.
You don't consider that Liverpool goal to be your best technically, do you?
No, I scored one against Tottenham earlier on at Goodison. It was a volley from the edge of the box. Ray Clements was in goal. Tottenham were a decent side at the time. I think the game finished 1-1. They had Dalis and Villa and Steve Archibald, people like that. But I hit a volley, Park End, top corner. That was probably my best goal. It got voted goal of the season on Kick-Off. Remember ITV Kick-Off with Elton Wellesby? So I got invited along to the show. I thought I'm going to pick up a nice prize there. And the prize was a tea towel. Honestly, it was a tea towel. Will it kick off on it? Just seen this wonderful goal and I think I'm going to get something here. She's going to be really good. A tea towel.
You've still got it?
No.
Just about to wrap things up. Obviously, it's been a long day. It's been a terrific day. We've been down to London to meet the chairman. The chairman, as we said, is massively enthusiastic about the whole thing. It's something that you're clearly looking forward to.
Yeah, you're saying it's a long day, Daz, but what a great day. Travelled down last night and we're here tonight, but gives me great satisfaction. It's not a long day at all. It's been a pleasurable day. It's been a great day for me to be ambassador of this club, one of three. I just can't say enough. It's fantastic.
And it's clear, Diamond, that the team spirit between the three of you is just as good as it was when you were playing.
Yeah, I mean, it's, as Snod's mentioned, it's an absolute honour and a privilege to be given the role. But what's better for us is the fact that all three of us get along really well. You know, as you can see here, like,
and we don't.
Well, all right, we make a good. You know, we pretend well,
we pretend,
then, don't we? Yeah. But no, I mean, it's great. You know, we've all got a decent amount of respect for each other, and we've had a flavour of it over the last few weeks of the role and, you know, what it entails. There's some fantastic stuff that we can get involved in, but there's obviously the downside is that we see an awful lot of people that are with hardships and, you know, funerals, etc. So there's some fantastic pieces, but there's some, you know, really serious stuff attached to it as well. But it's a role that we're really looking forward to, and we'll put everything. All we can promise is that we'll give the club 110%.
They've been ambassadors for a few hours now, Robert. Any regrets? And I'll ask you again when we get back from Wolfsburg, by the way.
I think what's really nice is the way in which they just sort of slot seamlessly into the club. They're, like I said before, you know, there's special culture in the club. A culture that sort of permeates down from chairman through Roberto into, you know, I'm lucky to work with people who share those values, and these three gentlemen just fit seamlessly into that. They're Evertonians, they get what this club's all about, and they're fantastic representatives of our football club.
And it's a great thing to say that, Graeme, isn't it, when you think you've got a Glaswegian, a Yorkshireman and a Londoner?
Yeah, definitely does. I think all said it today. I think it's 25 years now I've been associated with the club, but we all still live in the area. You know, we just this is part of it now. I've been down here longer than I've been in Scotland. I wouldn't move back up to Scotland. You know, and love just being in and around the place. You know, when you finish football, it's really, really difficult. You know what you're going to do, but when you get the opportunity to come back and work for the club that you played for a number of years, it's a no-brainer. You know, you're desperate to get back, and great to see the lads on board now. As I say, they've got their duties in the summer for the painting the goalposts and everything else. We've nailed it on here, but no, they're great guys, and you know, the chairman asked me what to him coming on board. Not a problem. Great guys, you know, great servants to the club as players, and hopefully they'll be the same as ambassadors.
I'm sure they will, but we've got one final piece of film, and I think it's only right and proper at the end of what has been a great day to leave the last word to the chairman.
Well, it's all about these three lads who, more than anything, I'm grateful to, because they've taken on this new role as an ambassadorial trio to take the word that is Everton, not only to our community, although that's hugely important, but to the footballing community and hopefully internationally. And they are legends, these boys. You can't get away from it. Okay, they didn't come from Liverpool, but you know, I've seen the way Evertonians respond to them, and I think it's important to say that Roberto, who was the first person I went to the knees, obviously, of the community, but Roberto, he said, Chairman, fantastic idea. And he said, Chairman, three great lads to do it. And I think it's also important to say, look, it's not a gimmick. It has to be, just as Roberto had to be the right lads to wear the suit, to be able to promote the gospel that is Everton. And I think even today you found out that these guys can not only talk the talk, but they can walk the walk too. I really hope that they will find ways of making this a bigger role than it is. So it's very positive, and I'm really grateful to each of the three of them.
It has been a great day, and the message is crystal clear. Everybody's delighted to have Snods and Diamond on board. I'm really looking forward to working with them. I know everybody else is at the football club. My thanks to Ian Snodin.
Thank you.
To Graeme Stuart.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you.
To Robert Elstone. And to Graeme Sharp. And on behalf of all of us here, all 5 of us and everybody else at the club, thank you very much indeed for coming along to see us tonight. Thank you to everybody who's watched at home or in work, wherever you may be around the world. And enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you and good night.